Hello, welcome or welcome back. I am Tavish Cardiff, one of the co-founders of the Our Raw Material practice. It is conflict week at Our Raw Material, and this is the second of the physical weeks. Those weeks include ignorance. How much do we pay attention to what all we don't know? And conflict. How do things work within our body when they don't agree? So conflict can be internal. It can be us with another person. It can be us with society. It can be humans and nature, which seems to be one of the biggest conflicts coming up in my environment right now. I want to just take a deep breath because conflict asked us to do that. Not only to take a deep breath, but really to breathe with the intention of clearing and to exhale with more force than what we use to inhale. The exhale itself is how we get rid of the energetic debris that collects all around us, creating conflict to begin with. Quan and I, my other co-founder of this practice, if you don't know, we spent a lot of time working through so many issues on religion or race or philosophy, politics, talking through the differences of opinions and the ways that certain people see things versus other things. Quan and I had such different lives, but we came at spirituality from the same place. And we had developed over all these years a very similar outlook on what the world, how it operates, how it comes together, how it works. And with him having passed in the last, a month and 2 days ago, really had to deal with a lot of conflict in my own acceptance of this. And I probably will never fully accept that he's gone because he's not, he's still here. And even that thought and idea produces conflict in the people that I say that to, depending on who I say it. There are people who are like, yeah, I feel him too, or I hear him too. And then there are people that probably want to and don't because their listening set is shut down. I promise you they could if they were able to clear that energetic debris and actually hear, listen, pay attention to what's being shown. Conflict comes at us every day. And a lot of times, if it's not coming direct, we don't notice that it's coming. Even a change in season produces some conflict. Everything that we do, as soon as someone else has any opposition or a different idea or a different way of doing it, produces some level of conflict that vibrationally runs through our body. Hopefully it runs through and grounds itself and finds its way out some other direction. More often than not, however, we embody these things. We embody the places where we don't get the reaction that we want, or somebody doesn't agree with us the way that we want them to, or see things the way that we want them to. This Our Raw Material practice itself, when I understood it for the first time, really got it, I was so excited and I was sharing it with people who were looking at me like, what are you even saying? And it took years to really get that voice and to have people respond to this with something that isn't just confusion. And I have great friends, great family. They tried, they wanted to. But the simplicity of this practice creates conflict in our minds because our brains are so complex and we need complex reasons and complex solutions. When we know at the soul level that the most simple solution is often the easiest and the most natural solution is often the easiest. And the less we complicate something, the easier it is to repair or make right. That's a whole lot of ways to say, breathe and break it down around conflict. Easier said than done, because generally we are reacting in emotion when we are in conflict. So we're in the physical body, but we're moving emotion through the physical body. And when that's happening, there's not a lot of release happening unless it's intentional. Conflict asks us to meet it head on, not necessarily with aggressiveness, but if that's all you got, that's all you've got. Working with it is really what's important, not stifling it, not stopping it in its tracks, letting it actually move. And the more we work with the conflict that bothers us, the less bothered we are by dealing with it. It doesn't mean that the thing doesn't still stir us up and piss us off. It means that we have become more adept at allowing the thing to be. And allowing doesn't mean accepting. And this is one of the beautiful things about Conflict Week is in order to move your breath through something, you don't need to be in agreement. You don't need to be even saying, I accept what you're saying. Allow the words. Allow that this is someone else's opinion, even if you can't wrap your brain around how or why that's true. Weekly challenge. Quan had us doing every single challenge this week from the perspective of a tree. So I really like this one for Conflict Week. Let's get into the space of being a tree. And I'm looking outside my window right now. I can see a big, beautiful tree swaying in the breeze. And so that's what I want us to do. Our bodies are reacting, our branches, just doing this. But from an internal space, there's that root system. There's the core. There's the grounded, soulful, collective, is this the greater good space? So let's take our conflict to the root system this week. Anytime we find ourselves feeling something stressful or conflicting, let it kind of run through the body. Notice what it's doing. Notice how the branches are moving. And get down in the roots. Be grounded and solid from the root system, which will have you looking back to last week, values and ideals, checking in with what's truly important. And I think that I will quote my dad right here in the Rolling Stones. But before I knew this was the Rolling Stones, my dad said it to me repeatedly in my life. You can't always get what you want, but you just might find you get what you need. And if we back up enough to breathe through the things that bother us, we generally find that we are being given quite a bit that is satisfying and enough. And I mean enough in a good way. That being said, if you are being harmed, if you physically, any abuse situation, any addiction situation, those things don't necessarily apply in the same way. That's conflict that needs a different sort of interventional resolution. Either reach out through our raw material or get some help in any way you can. That is not what I'm trying to cover here. Just the basic daily conflict that we all experience as parts of life. That's not to say that we don't go through some really terrible things. Conflict is conflict at the most extreme ends of everything. What I'm really trying to do is not make light of something that is not just solved by breathing. And I know that that doesn't solve everything, but it begins to solve so much. And it puts us in a place of understanding from reason what is valuable to us, what is important, what we should fight for, and what we tolerate. How we can tolerate more than we do just by creating the space for it to breathe. Allowing, not accepting. I'll be back next week. We will talk about the emotional side of intention and just how many intentions we each create every single day with our minds. Have a fantastic week. See you next time.